What it do? What it do? What it do? We in the building once again. Love to the game boxing coming to you live and direct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The saga continues with Terrence Crawford. Salute to you, Black Boxing Kings. Salute to you. The saga continues with Terrence Crawford. What is this man going to say next? What is going to come out this man's mouth? It's a sad day. It's a sad time for Bud fans, man. It's a sad time, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. This shit done brought me out of retirement. Salute to you guys. Salute, 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 salute. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Terrence Crawford. What are we doing? Believing our own narratives. Man, that's a dangerous thing, man. When when you can lie, when you can't be honest with yourself, that's a very dangerous thing, man. That's one of the most dangerous things in life, man. That's a very dangerous thing. When you believe the narratives about yourself, that's a dangerous thing. And this guy, he's definitely drank the Kool-Aid from his fans. He's drank the Kool-Aid from all the people. Salute to my brother B House in the building. Yeah, I seen Ugis's post, man. I got some stuff, man. I got some stuff for y'all, man, tonight. The Queen Sheena is in the building. Salute to you, Queen. Appreciate you coming through. Yes. John Applegate, salute in the building. All right. Yeah, man, it's a dangerous thing, man. This guy, he believes his own narratives, man. It's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous thing. You know, uh, a lot of things this guy has said is it's been mind boggling over the last two weeks. He said Bud don't want to fight. Yeah, I think that's evident at this point now. I think, Bud wants to fight Errol Spence on Twitter. He wants to fight Errol Spence on Twitter. He wants to he wants to be the A side on Twitter. But when it comes to getting in the ring, this guy has showed us that this is not something that he wants to do. And we have to take this man word for what it is. We can't make up narratives for him no more. We can't say, well, I think what Terrence Crawford meant was this. No, we have to take this man at his word for what he says. We have to. We don't have a choice, you know? And it's all good. This man, he's chosen. Peace and blessings to you, King. This man has chosen, at this stage in his career, he's content with what he's accomplished. He's content with the highlight of his career is beating Julius Ndongo. He's all right with that. The highlight of his career is being attached to Errol Spence for 4 years. You know, he's okay with that. But he's not okay with getting in the ring and proving that he's the best. We have yet to see a performance from Terrence Crawford where he has shown us against someone of equal or greater talent, skill set, how he would fare. And I think that's a problem with the fighter going into his 39th fight. I think that's a disservice to the sport of boxing because the greats didn't care about winning and losing. Of course, they wanted to win, but they got in the ring. Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd, Sugar Ray Robinson, Ali, Tommy the Hitman Hearns. I mean, to be quite honest, Amir Khan has more heart than Terrence Crawford. Amir Khan will go into a fight knowing that he don't have, stand a chance in hell, but he'll get in there and he'll fight. And you have to salute a guy like that. Look at Erickson Lubin versus Fondora. Look at Erickson Lubin testing himself to be great against Jamel Charlo. He came up short, but we respected him. But Terrence Crawford, what are we doing, brother? This is really bad, man. This is a bad thing that's going on here with Terrence Crawford. Uh, guys talking about legacies. Doing all of these. He's doing all of these. He's doing a world tour for Damage Control right now. Salute to you, Cassandra. See love in the building. My man said, roast this duck. Man, look, I've never seen a fighter do a press. Yo, this is the press tour Terrence Crawford rather have than the press tour he was supposed to have with Errol Spence. Let's take a look at this real quick. We're gonna take a look real quick at that. Let's go here. Hold on just a second. Let me get you guys right real quick. Terrence Crawford. He's on a world tour. The man's on a world tour. Run the clip.
To fight.
As a team, I guess that as a group, everybody had to have been hyped about the idea of fighting Errol Spence and having that kind of like a legacy defining fight, right? I'm interested for you personally, for your family, for your team, how disappointing has this period of time been? And do you kind of feel really drained by the whole thing not getting to where you wanted it to get to?
Well, of course, it was disappointing, being that, that was a fight that been on our radar for years, and being that it didn't come to the light, of course it's disappointing, but at the same time, I have a career, I got a family, I got to continue with my career. I can't sit on my hands and wait for another fighter or another promotional company to make things right for me when I'm not signed with them. So I got to do what's best for me at the end of the day.
There's obviously a lot of upsides, right, to having control, being your own boss, right? Like you talked through before, having that kind of visibility over everything that's going on with your finances, with the business. It also means, though, like on the flip side of that the blame is now personal, because before everybody used to be mad at PBC and mad at Top Rank because they couldn't make the fight happen. Now it feels like it's more directed to you personally, right? The kind of the kickback to the fight falling apart. How have you felt about the reaction to that announcement of an ECN fight and to the reaction to your IG Live even? What have you made of that?
Well, I think it's not geared directly towards me. I think it's, right down the line, but at the same time, that's something that
Let's explore that for a second. So this man says, she asked him, how does he feel about the blowback for taking the Avanesian fight? And this man has stated right here that he doesn't think it's directed towards him. It's down the line for him and Spence. I mean, I don't see how that's true. I mean, we haven't seen Earl Spence doing a world tour of interviews doing Damage Control like this. I mean, Kate right here, she works with Fox. She's affiliated with PBC. She's Sean Porter's co-host or host for PBC fights with Fox. So, I mean, I'm not sure what this guy means by this, but how can the blowback be going to Earl Spence? Earl Spence made his response and moved on. Terrence Crawford has done a world tour of interviews like this to do Damage Control. His legacy with the people. He's okay with his legacy, but his legacy with boxing fans has taken a big hit for fighting David Avocado. Let's keep it going.
that I don't care about. For one, being that, I did everything that I was supposed to do, that I could do to make the fight happen.
So this man says he did everything that he was supposed to do to make the fight happen. Okay. So so I'm confused on that. How let's cook on this for a minute. We're gonna explore this for a minute. How could this man have done everything he was supposed to do to make this fight happen? In November of 2021, Terrence Crawford defeated Sean Porter. He did something no one else had done to Sean Porter, which is knock him down twice in one round, or just knock him down twice in a fight, period. Fight was stopped by his dad. Sean Porter had his wits about him. Fight was stopped by his dad. TKO. We give Terrence Crawford his respect. Sean Porter stepped in the ring. No excuses. Not gonna have no excuses because if Sean Porter would have won, there'd be no excuses. So we're not gonna make any excuses for Sean Porter. But let's take a look at his timeline. This man said he did everything in his power to make this fight. Fight was over in November of 2021. This man did not get in contact with the PBC. I did live streams with Drico, going back and forth about this. Why is Terrence Crawford flying to Dubai? Why is Terrence Crawford in the water? Why is Terrence Crawford going every place but to the PBC office if this is the fight that he really wanted to make? He could have got him a tune-up fight, you know. He could have they could have ironed all this stuff out, could have been all this stuff could have been ironed out. So by the time they came to any type of agreement, it would have still been 2022 where we would have got this fight in November 19th. But no, this guy waited for the last minute to start negotiating the so-called biggest fight in the sport of boxing. So I'm going to have to call Cap on that. I don't believe this guy did everything that he needed to do to make this fight happen. Because when you're pound for pound, we can say that Floyd Mayweather did everything that he needed to do to make the fight with Oscar De La Hoya, right? Because that was for his legacy. That was a big fight. That was for him to become forever the A side. We could say Oscar chose the ring size, Oscar chose the gloves, Oscar chose the weight, Oscar chose everything. Lower purse, smaller purse, right? But Floyd made it happen. That is what you do. that is what you do when you are a pound for pound fighter and you want to prove that you're the best. Okay, I see you, Jamil. I see you. Salute to you, YSM Sports Media. We look at this. We got these idiots in here. Thor. Let's see what this idiot said. So here we go. This is typical. Oh, I know who this. This is the idiot that was on the last on Goons thing. Thanks for showing up. But look at this. This is typical Terrence Crawford fan boy behavior. The first thing they talk about is male sex. You can't beat it. This is you can count on it. These guys have a fantasy with male sex for some reason. It's weird, right? It says Bud don't need an SD with Porter or go to points with a lightweight. So you're trying to that proves EJ's greatness. EJ said no to 25 million. Bud said yes to zero, but Heyman still ducked. Okay, this is an idiot right here. So so right now, what this guy's going to do is a triangle theory, right? So a split decision with Sean Porter, mind you, a split decision with a Sean Porter who is not a full time podcaster, a full time commentator, a split decision before COVID when people took breaks off, a split decision when this guy was doing fight camps and partying. But hey, you know what? No one told Earl to do that. But a win is a win at the end of the day. Because last time I checked, when Terrence Crawford won the fight against Sean Porter, he was told he was down going into that round. So, I mean, I'm not sure what point you're trying to make there. But Terrence Crawford legacy is taking a severe beating right now in the public, and he's trying to do damage control. Right? Let's keep going.
the people that's on the outside that's saying all these negative things and saying, certain allegations, they don't know what they talking about. So it's like, I gave you the truth. I told you what it was, and that's what it was. And if you don't like it, then so be it. Go beat yourself up, what I mean, every day that you wake up because you're not happy with your life. You know,
Let's explore this comment. The last time I heard a comment like that was when LeBron James lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the finals, and the press was getting on him, and he said something in regards to people going to wake up with their same problems in their life, and he's going to wake up good. That's a defense mechanism. People only say stuff like this when they have some insecurity about how they're feeling about a situation they're being asked about. No one, no, you know, it's and time again, I see this. It's so interesting to me, right? You got Terrence Crawford, who's a great fighter in the ring, who hasn't proved himself against a great fighter, but I'm going to call him a great fighter in the ring, right? And a guy who hasn't been a big draw for whatever reason. Well, we know what the reason is. It's his level of competition, because nobody's going to pay for something when they kind of already know the outcome. That's not exciting. So there's never a storyline with Terrence Crawford going into a fight. There's never a headline with Terrence Crawford going into a fight about his opponent. It's always the tables are stacked against the person that he's fighting. Let's take a look at when Terrence Crawford was talking about fighting Keith Thurman a couple months ago. Keith Thurman said, "Hey, I need like 8 months." He was inactive. He said, "Give me like 8 months." He got his Barrios fight off, and he said, "Give me some." He said, "Give me some time." And Terrence Crawford said, "Why he need 8 months? Why we can't fight now?" But then this guy is the same guy who turns around and takes a tune-up fight before he fights Errol Spence. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Let's keep it going.
I'm I'm blessed. I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm healthy. So, I'm comfortable. I'm good.
So I think fans, right, from the outside, they look at this and they watch how everything played out, and they think pretty much this was the fight that we wanted to see in this generation, essentially, right? And they think pretty much we got as close as we're ever going to get, and that the fight's not going to happen. What's your perspective? Do you think that the fight still happens? Is there still life in that?
Well, there's always still life in the fight. You know, things just got to be, fair. And then,
Well, how much more fair does this guy want it, right? This guy played the victim that he was getting no guarantee. Never at any time did this man say that neither fighter was getting a guarantee. He played the victim as if he was the only person not getting a guarantee, and he was getting a low split and all this other stuff. Hey, moderators, yo, get this guy out of my chat door. Get him out of here. Um, so this guy played the victim, right? That he wasn't getting any split. This guy played the victim. Uh, that he wasn't getting a guarantee. This guy played the victim on his split. He's saying for things to be fair. Well, I mean, I'm confused. You guys tell me, right? What kind of split do you think you deserve when you sell 20% of the pay-per-views that Errol Spence does? Good look at it, AJ. Exactly why it's him. That's exactly what I'm saying. This guy has a history of doing this, making disparaging remarks his to his fan base, and that's why you have fans like that idiot who came in here talking shit. This guy will go and say that the best fans are in the UK. This guy will discredit any fan who believes that Errol Spence is better than him. This guy will discredit any fan's opinion who doesn't think that his level of opposition is sufficient for him being number one pound for pound fighter in the world. This is what he does. And this is exactly what he does. And it's interesting to me because for the life of me, I don't understand what he thinks is fair. You know, now I'm gonna play something else for you guys real quick. Give me a second. I'm gonna play something else for you guys real quick. Salute to YSM Sports Media sent this out to me yesterday, and we gonna go ahead and cook on this. Now, this guy doesn't believe that what's going on is fair for him, right? He's not getting a guarantee. Everyone's trying to fuck him, right? But I said this before, right? And everyone said that, Earl was ducking. I said this before, that this fight, due to streaming and due to the demographic of the two fan bases, this is possibly not a huge money fight like people think. There was a reason why Floyd Mayweather fought on Cinco de Mayo. When we look at Canelo, they were smart. When you look at Canelo could sell 800,000 pay-per-views against Caleb Plant because his people buy pay-per-views. It's a whole nother country. But between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, it's the same people. It's the same demographic. It's the same type of idiot fans like Homeboy, who was in the chat, who's most likely going to stream the fight while he comes on here and uses his thumbs. But we're going to go ahead because this man, Terrence Crawford said that he wasn't getting a fair deal. Now, let's be on the record for this. Eddie Hearn, we all know, is not a fan of Al Heyman. Eddie Hearn, we all know, is not a fan of Al Heyman. Roll the clip.
Oscar and what he said about Al, I know you've been asked about it, but in your opinion, is his viewpoint valid? I think.
What was his viewpoint? What did he say in your interview?
Said he's pretty much at fault as to why these fights aren't happening.
I think that, I have a little bit of sympathy with Al.
The first words out of Eddie Hearn's mouth, a guy that we all know can't stand Al Heyman. They didn't get Tevin Farmer versus Tank. There were many other fights that Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman had an issue with. They did some fights a long time ago in the past, but as things progressed, their relationship got worse and worse. I think it's very interesting that the first choice of words out of Eddie Hearn's mouth is that he feels a little sympathy for Al. He said he didn't want to feel any sympathy because he said a little, but the first words out of his mouth was, "I feel a little sympathy for Al." Let's keep it going.
In the Spence Crawford fight, because the fight is not as big as people think it is.
The fight is not as big as people think that it is. This is correct. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? Because when there's a big fight, normally, from a promoter standpoint, there's going to be a guarantee. And that guarantee is going to be a number somewhat estimated upon the projected pay-per-view. Let's keep it going.
I've said this before and I've had criticism for this, but you have to understand, whatever you think of me, whatever you think of Al Heyman, we do know the business and the numbers like the back of our hand, right? We do this all the time. So I can't have an argument with someone on Twitter who tells me that Spence Crawford does 1 million buys, yet we know that if you're setting a line on a guarantee, you set that line at 350 or 400,000 buys.
So let's examine that. Eddie Hearn states that he's not going to argue with people on Twitter that this fight is going to sell 1 million pay-per-views. It's a long shot for this fight to sell 1 million pay-per-views. It's a long shot. We have too many people streaming. Like Bud came out and snitched on Errol Spence. He said, he got a fire he got a fire stick. Bust this to Spence. He goes, I don't like that shit. Errol Spence got a fire stick too. He's gonna steal the fight.
It's like that. That's if I'm putting my money up, that's where I'm comfortable with the line. Now, it doesn't mean that's the number that Al is comfortable with, but ultimately, when a fight's big enough, the fighters don't really need a guarantee, and they don't really ask for one, Marcos. Because I go back to Fury against AJ. There was no guarantee.
What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We didn't hear that correctly. We didn't hear that correctly. Let's play that back.
Back to Fury against AJ. There was no guarantee.
What was that? Against Fury and AJ, there was no guarantee. Zero guarantee against Fury and AJ. So when you have these clowns that are out here talking about where do they do that at? No guarantee. Well, wasn't Tyson Fury? Didn't Al have to take Tyson Fury to court to get him to fight Deontay Wilder for millions with a guarantee? For millions, tens of millions of dollars with a guarantee for the third fight. Because he was trying to fight AJ with no guarantee? Make it make sense. So no guarantee is robbing a fighter when a fighter wants a big purse and a big guarantee, but the numbers don't make that to be a sound investment. So what do? They say, hey, instead of doing it that way for you, where, when Terrence Crawford was with Bob Arum, we never saw a TBC Promotions next to Top Rank Promotions, next to ESPN on the banner. No, they gave him a cut, which was a guarantee. While these guys made money off the net revenue of the event. These guys made money off the net revenue of the event. Now, we do know in the past, and it probably still happens now, that in the gross revenue of the event, that promoters have done a lot of grimy things to steal money, like charge $10,000 for towels and stuff like that. And Terrence Crawford asked for transparency. And that's fine. He asked for the right to oversee expenses and sign off on it. And I think that was a great business maneuver on his behalf. I don't have a problem with that. But don't make it seem as if this transparency wasn't given to you. Secondly, why do you need to ask for that stuff when the Ali Act has it in law that there's going to be transparency? Roll the clip.
It was just all the money in the pot. Everyone knows how big that fight is, right? And it's not a case of, it might do this. We all know how big it is. But we just know, in the instance of Terrence Crawford, and I don't think that's PBC's fault. I just feel like...
Whoa! Everyone's talking about blame Al. Blame Al. Blame Al. We know that Eddie Hearn is not a fan of Al Heyman. We all know this. But who are we going to listen to? Guys who do the business of boxing for a living, or Terrence Crawford, who has been a free agent for the first time in his career and is negotiating a fight? Who are we going to believe? Let's roll the clip back.
Now, it doesn't mean that's the number that Al is comfortable with. But ultimately, when a fight's big enough, the fighters don't really need a guarantee, and they don't really ask for one, Marcos. Because I go back to Fury against AJ. There was no guarantee. It was just all the money in the pot. Everyone knows how big that fight is, right? And it's not a case of, it might do this. We all know how big it is. But we just know, in the instance of Terrence Crawford, and I don't think that's PBC's fault. I just feel like it's fighters that probably think a fight's worth more than it is. Al Heyman's doing the right thing for his business, which is not putting a guarantee up because he doesn't have the confidence in that fight.
Eddie Hearn says Al Heyman is doing the right thing. Not putting a guarantee up because he doesn't have the confidence in the fight. Does anyone in here have the confidence with streaming going on and Terrence Crawford being a guy who historically has record low pay-per-view numbers, 50,000 against Postal? We don't even know against Amir Khan. It was reported to be under 100,000. It was so bad it was yanked off pay-per-view. And with Sean Porter, the same guy that Errol Spence did 350,000 with, reportedly, he did 135,000 with. This guy comes in and he's asking for a $25 million upfront guarantee, $15 million upfront guarantee. And he's got Al Heyman, you got all these clowns, who like to scream out, the PBC is broke. Al Heyman is broke. The PBC is broke. But when they're making a good business decision, they want them to copy behavior of a company who's trying to go broke, like BLK Prime. But that's for another day. Let's roll the clip.
Someone comes in, wants to offer mad money for him to fight Avanesian. He's looking at it and thinking, that's an easy fight. I'll take that. Hopefully it gets revisited. But
Oscar and
so I have to salute Eddie Hearn for this one right here. I gotta salute Eddie Hearn. I have to. Because he's just keeping it 100. That's all he's doing. From when we have interview with Bob Arum, and I could pull up another interview from YSM Sports Media where Bob Arum is stating that it is unfair for Al Heyman, a guy he don't like, a guy that he's mad is getting the fight himself without him, that it was unfair for Terrence Crawford to look for a guarantee from Al Heyman. So we have three guys who are the biggest advisors and promoters in the entire sport. There is no one bigger than Al Heyman. There's no one bigger than Bob Arum, and there's no one bigger than Eddie Hearn. Name someone else who's bigger in the sport of boxing from a business aspect than those guys. Those are the three guys who basically run boxing. Those three. All three of these guys do not believe that Terrence Crawford should get a guarantee. But you got Terrence Crawford and Bomac, who finally got a chance to be their own boss, and they coming out guns blazing and asking for shit that they didn't earn, asking for shit that they didn't deserve. That's what they doing. It's hilarious. We're going to keep this interview going. Hold on, just
They want to please the fans and they want to make things right. Of course it can happen. Of course.
So I think the question.
So what is right? What is fair? I mean, because if people, you got to be careful with the word fair, right? Because what is fair is you getting what you've earned in the sport. Your accolades does not promise you paydays. It doesn't. What you did at 140 doesn't promise you big paydays. What you've done for me lately promised you big paydays. And from what we've seen, from the guarantees that this man has gotten from Amir Khan, and I think that's interesting. This man had no problem with Amir Khan getting more money than him, but that's because Bob told him that's how it had to be. See, but when it comes to Al Heyman and Errol Spence, he just can't hear it. I've seen it so many times before. A lot of times it's really tough for black people to take direction from other black people. It's tough. If Bob would have told him that, he would have just did it. But we'll keep it going.
Question that comes up with that fight not happening, right, is legacy. Legacy is always such a big word in boxing. What legacy do you think you've earned right now, and is it where you want it to be?
Of course. Of
Okay.
course. When you look at Terrence Crawford legacy compared to Errol Spence legacy.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about with jealousy and hatred. Jealousy and envy. Kate asked this man about his legacy. What do you feel about Terrence Crawford's legacy? Let's roll the clip back. I want you guys to listen.
I think the question that comes up with that fight not happening, right, is legacy. Legacy is always such a big word in boxing. What legacy do you think you've earned right now, and is it where you want it to be?
What legacy do you think you've earned right now, and is it where you want it to be? Let's listen to his response.
Of course. Of
Okay.
course. When you look at Terrence Crawford legacy compared to Errol Spence legacy.
Who asked this man about Errol Spence? Who asked this man about Errol Spence's legacy? She asked you about yourself, bro. Your legacy, to be quite honest, is linked to Errol Spence, whether you like it or not. Because none of the fights that you've had are legacy defining. I'll give you one. I'm sorry. I'll give you one. Gamboa. I'll give you that one. Gamboa had a name. He was well known, even though he moved up in weight off of a 1-year layoff. You handled your business. And that's when people started to respect you as a skilled top fighter. But besides that, what legacy fight have you had?
It's night and day. And I don't mean to throw shade on the brother.
So, how do you not mean to throw shade on a brother? And you talking about your legacy with him is night and day, but no one asked you about Errol Spence. They asked you about yourself. See, this guy he's so attached, so enamored, and so jealous of Errol Spence that he can't even talk about the stuff he's accomplished in the sport without bringing up Errol Spence's name. But let's hear who his legacy defining fights are.
I'm just speaking facts. Whether they can say whatever they want, they can hate and say, oh, well, he fought this guy, he fought that guy. They can say whatever they want. But for Terrence Crawford legacy, you're going to say he's a 3-weight world champion. He's an undisputed world champion. He's a fighter of the year. He's an ESPY award winner. He's a lineal champion in 2 different weight classes. He's undefeated, and he never had a close fight ever in his boxing career.
Whoa. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Terrence Crawford just stated he's never had a close fight in his career. So what you're telling me is that because you win a fight or because you knock a person out, that means that you didn't have a close fight. So basically, Diego Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo, who had that classic fight where Castillo got knocked out in the 12th after severely hurting Chico Corrales. Rest in peace, champion. That wasn't a close fight because Chico Corrales knocked him out. I mean, if someone tells you that you're down, if your corner is telling you that you're down going into the 10th round with Sean Porter, that's called a close fight. That was a close fight. You hit him with a good shot. You had you knocked him down twice, but that fight was close. You talk about you were never in a close fight. When you look at The fight this man had with De- Jose Benavidez. Knocked him out with 30 seconds left in the round in the fight. That was a close fight. Very close fight. But let's keep it going.
So I think what people often look for is a signature win. Do you feel like you have a signature win?
I got multiple signatures of wins.
Which ones are they for you?
When you look at it, Ricky Burns was a signature.
This Ricky Burns was a signature win.
Okay.
When you look at it, Gamboa was a signature win. Postal was a signature win. Ndongo.
Sean Porter.
Not Sean Porter.
You wouldn't include Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeff Horn.
So Postal was a signature win. Okay. I mean, you ran from him all fight. I mean, to the point where everyone booed you. But okay, I guess that was a signature win. Victor Postal. Where's Victor Postal now? So Victor Postal was a signature win because he beat Lucas Matisse, but Danny Garcia had already beat Lucas Matisse when he was a killer. But Postal was some type of killer and was a signature win. All right. Ricky Burns was a signature win. Okay.
Was a signature win. You know, Kell Brooks.
Okay, that's a lot of signature wins.
Yeah.
This man said Kell Brook was a signature win. Kell Brook, who hadn't fought in the weight class since 2017 of May against Errol Spence Jr. in Sheffield. With 2 broken eye sockets and making a man drain down in weight. That was a signature win. Okay.
They all signature wins. You know what I mean? Because when you look at it, them all champions. And some of them is
them all champions. Last I checked, Kell Brook wasn't a champion when you fought him. Last I checked, Amir Khan wasn't a champion when you fought him. That's last I checked. Last I checked, Benavidez wasn't the champion. Kell Brook was a shell of himself. Let's keep this foolery going.
Champions in multiple divisions. You know, so when you look at what they did in the sport of boxing, then you look at them and be like, man, look at all the things that they accomplished in the sport of boxing, and then how I'll beat them. That's a signature win in my eyes.
Okay, so I didn't want to make this into a comparison with you and Errol, but you kind of did, right? So if you're going to pick Errol's signature wins, which one would you pick?
Errol's signature wins, I would say Kell Brook, Sean Porter.
Okay, so Errol's signature wins, the first 2 guys you name are 2 guys you fought that Errol Spence beat 3 years, 3.5 years before you fought him, and Kell Brook, and about 2 years with Sean Porter. Okay. But he hasn't accomplished what you've accomplished.
Put Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia and Ugas, pretty much.
So basically, those more recent fights.
Even though Danny Garcia never won a significant fight at 147, he didn't beat nobody. He lost to everybody.
Okay. So even though Danny Garcia didn't win a significant fight at 147, he lost to everybody. Okay. Who did Amir Khan beat? Who did Jose Benavidez beat? Who did Mean Machine beat at 147? Who did David I've been sneezing, who you getting ready to fight, beat at 147? See, he has to throw shade he has to throw shade on anything Errol Spence does.
Even though Mikey Garcia never fought in the division before, even though Ugas.
Mikey Garcia was top 5 pound for pound fighter in the entire sport. Mikey Garcia was attempting to do what you did. Mikey Garcia beat Robert Easter Jr., took his belt. Mikey Garcia beat Adrian Broner, took his belt. I mean, he didn't have a belt. Beat Adrian Broner. Mikey Garcia beat Sergey Lipnitz, champion, IBF champion at 140. Took his belt. Unanimous decision. So, what's any different with Mikey Garcia moving up in weight and fighting a champion like you fought a fucking Julius Ndongo and moved up and fought Jeff Horn? But you're going to sit here and try to dissect what Mikey Garcia did. But this man was a top pound for pound fighter at the time that he did all this.
Has been beaten numerous times. Tom Porter had already been beaten. Kell Brook had already been.
You're just trying to take away all those significant wins. You're taking it back.
I'm stating facts. I'm stating facts.
You're stating opinions.
When we do this, we gotta state facts.
You're stating opinions because you know what you've done. You'll sit up and call everyone a hater who does the same shit to the trash ass resume that you have for all your signature fights. You'll sit up and tell people that they don't know shit about boxing. Bomac would tell people that they don't know shit about boxing when they do the same exact thing that you are currently doing to your opponents. But the opponents that they're doing them to have never been on the pound for pound list, have been shot in the kneecap, have gotten robbery fights in Australia, been knocked out by Canelo Alvarez, had 2 eye surgeries after Triple G and Errol Spence smashed him in. But you won't bring up none of that. You'll say that, these are signature wins. Roll the clip.
You know what I mean? When you say Terrence, you say, oh, well, Gamboa was little, but they don't say, oh, well, Gamboa had a title at 135 when they fought. They don't say that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They say, oh, well, Gamboa was too little, but they don't say.
No, Gamboa. What do we need to pull up a graphic of the weigh-in with Terrence Crawford and Gamboa? I mean, do we need to pull it up? Because last I checked, when I saw the face-off or the weigh-in, Terrence Crawford to me looked like Gamboa reached his chin. It looked Gamboa was the size of one of his sons who wrestled.
Gamboa never went below 135. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To fight again. So, it's
BF, you're gonna be mad at me because I'm gonna steal some of your material. The very next fight, Gamboa fought at 130. What is this guy talking about?
It's a lot that they say, oh, well, Jeff Horn was robbed. You know what I mean? With the Pacquiao won. Oh, well, you fighting leftovers when you fought Tom Porter, mm-hmm. which everybody said I was going to lose that fight. Oh, well, Kell Brook was washed up, which everybody said I was going to lose that fight. So the fights that they said...
Wait a minute. I picked Terrence Crawford to knock Sean Porter out. I had people told me I didn't know shit about boxing because I said that. Sean Porter's never been stopped. I said that because I was hating. I was hedging bets when I said it. No, I said it because I knew that Sean Porter wasn't on the level of Terrence Crawford. And he wasn't on the level of, and I did it based off of what I saw from Errol Spence. I knew Errol Spence could have stopped Sean Porter, but he was in a period of time in his life where boxing wasn't the number one thing on his plate at that time, and he was doing whatever he was doing outside of the sport. And he came and beat Sean Porter, doing fat camps. I know Terrence Crawford don't do stuff like that. So I knew Terrence Crawford was going to stop Sean Porter. I knew it. You know, all you had to do was take a look at the Felix Diaz fight and see how Terrence Crawford deals with guys who are short and lunges in, and that would have told you everything you needed to know. No one believed that Kell Brook was going to beat you. No one believed that. No one believed that. This dude was washed up when he fought you. No one believed that. But we know you like capping. Let's keep going.
I was gonna lose, you know what I mean, prior to me fighting. Then when I fight,
They
then
switch it on you.
there you go. So I'm just stating facts. That's all.
So talk to me about being undisputed, because I was watching an interview that you did with Andre Ward. It was like an ESPN interview. You guys are sitting down on two stools. I can't remember ahead of which fight it was, but
BF, I salute you, bro, because I'm going to use some more of your material because this is telling. This is telling. Here we go.
you said that being undisputed is one of those things that really drives me, right? You didn't get to become undisputed at 135 kind of because of the politics of boxing and everything. If you don't get the opportunity to become undisputed at 147, would you leave the sport with disappointment, with regret? Like, how would that affect you?
Not at all. Not at all.
But how can you be the same person that's driven by becoming undisputed, but also be like, hey, I'm cool if it doesn't?
Great question. Great question. Great question.
Happen.
My thing was this. I was driven by being a world champion
Okay.
of the world.
So she refers to Andre Ward's interview with him with ESPN, and he said he was driven to be undisputed. This man just said he was driven to be champion of the world. So I'm gonna have to do something because anytime Top Rank sees shit that I do against Terrence Crawford, my shit be getting flagged. So I'm gonna just go ahead behind the scenes and roll a clip from that interview with Andre Ward.
You know, I want to become undisputed.
At 47?
At 147, for sure. That's the kind of thing that drives me.
Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. Kate just said to this man, ask this man, how do you say that you're driven? What drives you to be undisputed at 147, and now you don't care about it when you to face Earl, and then you turn around and say you was driven by becoming a world champion. You can't make this shit up. Let's roll the clip.
Great, you know, but I feel like I still got a lot to accomplish. You know, I want to become undisputed.
At 47?
At 147, for sure.
So this man just admitted it, man. This man said he wanted to become the first thing he was asked. The first thing he was asked. And he says, I had a lot to accomplish. The first thing he said was, I want to become undisputed. Dre asked him at 47. He said, yes. But what did he just say here? Let's run it back.
I can't remember ahead of which fight it was, but you said that being undisputed is one of those things that really drives me, right? You didn't get to become undisputed at 135 kind of because of the politics of boxing and everything. If you don't get the opportunity to become undisputed at 147, would you leave the sport with disappointment, with regret? Like, how would that affect you?
Not at all. Not at all.
But how can you be the same person that's driven by becoming undisputed, but also be like, hey, I'm cool if it doesn't happen?
My thing was this. I was driven by being a world champion of the world.
So you were driven by being the world champion of the world. That's interesting. You were driven by being the world champion of the world, but the same interview, this is what you said.
You know, I want to become undisputed.
At 47?
At 147, for sure. That's the kind of thing that drives me.
That's what drives
me. You know, to become undisputed. You know, 35, I couldn't become undisputed because of the politics that's going on right now. So, but all in all, I'm blessed and I'm happy how my career has gone so far.
Man, you know, I mean, I don't know how many times we're gonna hear Terrence Crawford double talk. Say one thing, mean another thing. Say one thing, mean another thing. You know, salute to you, 817. He says, so you don't know which one drives you. No, they're selective. He knows which one drives him. You know, whichever one makes him look good and makes Earl look bad. That's what drives him. If it makes Earl look bad and him look good, that's what drives him. And this guy is sitting in a spot right now where all he's trying to do is make sure that Errol Spence does not become undisputed so he can sit around and say, I did something that Errol Spence wasn't able to accomplish by holding his belt hostage. This guy is holding the WBO hostage. He said in this same interview, he was asked about BLK Prime. I'm gonna go ahead and play that.
So the fights on BLK Prime, right? The truth is they've never done boxing at this kind of level before. You said on your IG live that BLK Prime is the new wave. Why do you say that?
Because it's a new company. Everybody calling, everybody want to know about BLK Prime. This is the start of something new.
So it's a new company, and everyone wants to know about BLK Prime, and it's the start of something new. Shit. So you telling me the number one pound for pound fighter in the world is signing with a company that just signed Adrian Broner, a guy who just pulled out of a fight with a straight up cab driver in Omar Figueroa. But at this point in your career, this is where you think you need to be. At this point in your career, you're doing every interview. Now, I want you guys to really think about it. Today is November 15th. His fight is December 10th. That means it's 25 days until this man's fight. 5 days, we're minus 5 days of a month until this man's fight. We have not seen one interview, one promotion with him and David Avenesian in it. We have not seen one promotion where Terrence Crawford and David Avenesian are in it. We haven't seen a stare down. We haven't seen an interview. We haven't seen anything. And but this is what you chose to do instead of doing a multi-city tour with Errol Spence to have a fight 60 days later than the fight that you're going to have now. Okay. Roll the clip.
With fighters get to be in on all the negotiations and fighters get to see everything that's coming in. And, it's not all about the promoters, it's just a different platform. It's kind of like when, Golden Boy started up, how successful they was, how DAZN, when they started up, they were successful, how PBC started up, they were successful. So when you look at all those new promotional companies and new people that got into boxing, it just jumped off.
Now let's explore this asinine comparison he made with BLK Prime, Golden Boy, PBC, and DAZN. Golden Boy had one of the most famous pay-per-view stars of boxing of all time in Oscar De La Hoya started. Someone who was entrenched in the business. Someone that boxing fans and boxing pundits were familiar with. And not only was that going on, Oscar had to link up with another superpower in the PBC for Golden Boy to even take off. They had stables of fighters. They had fighters that they signed. There were already well-known fighters that were signed between Oscar De La Hoya and the PBC. Well-known fighters. So how can you compare BLK Prime to PBC, Golden Boy, and DAZN? DAZN did a deal with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn was born into boxing royalty. His dad ran boxing in the UK for decades. This is a silver spoon kid who has the connections in boxing. What is this guy talking about with BLK Prime? Bro, just say I hit a lick. I found some idiots. They want to give me some money for an easy fight. I'm just going to take it. But the interesting thing is what he says coming up.
It was the new wave.
So break that down for me, though. Does that mean that their intention is not to make deals with promotional companies? They just want to work directly with a fighter and therefore pass on more of the benefit to you guys? Like, is that what they're trying to do?
For sure. They just
Okay.
They want to work. They want to basically, work with the fighter and make the best and the most money for the fighter, fighting the best fights.
Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. So they want to eliminate the promoter, teach the fighter about the business, and make the best fights. Well, I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't that sound like what Al Heyman pioneered in the sport of boxing? Doesn't that sound like why Al Heyman got all the hate coming into the sport? Doesn't that sound like why Bob Arum said Al Heyman pays these guys too much money, but you got the same idiots that come back and say, oh, look at the small guarantee that these guys got, 1.5 million, 2.5 million dollars. But on the flip side, Bob Arum is saying they pay these guys too much money. So you're stating that BLK Prime doesn't want to use a promoter, but you've always had issues with promotion. I mean, it's kind of fucking evident right now that they need to use a promoter because all the promoting this guy has been doing is on every other known boxing platform for an interview. This is all the promotion the fight has. But you're happy that they don't have a promoter. Oh, my apologize. My apologies. Groupon is their promoter. Because the biggest promotion Terrence Crawford has got for this fight is that his fucking tickets have been on Groupon and OfferUp. This is one of the most asinine decisions I've ever seen. But let's keep it going.
So, instead of the promoters taking all the money from the sponsorships,
So instead of all of the promoters taking all the money from the sponsorship. Last I remember, Floyd Mayweather said when he did his fight with Manny Pacquiao, he made $130 million in the first week before he even got a check, just based off sponsorship. So you tell me what big sponsors are coming to Omaha, Nebraska to market to the people of Omaha, Nebraska with you fighting David Avocado, a guy who got walked down by Lamont Peterson before Errol Spence destroyed Lamont Peterson. Explain that one to me. Roll the clip.
the ticket sales and whatnot. They want to help the fighters out and basically give them a platform where they can learn as well.
So, oh God, you can't make this shit up, man. You really can't make this shit up, man. So, it seems to me from the shit you were talking about in the negotiations with Al Heyman that these are all the things that you were getting offered. You were getting offered a cut. You didn't have a promoter. right? You were about to do a big city tour, a multi-city tour, something you haven't done before, and you were going to be in the biggest fight in the sport of boxing from a competition standpoint. So you tell me what is so different about what you were learning and doing and the setup you're talking about would be okay than what you were getting with Al Heyman. Explain that one to me. Roll the clip.
So are you hoping that this would be like a longer term home for you, or are you just taking it fight by fight, see how this one goes, and then you'll make your decision?
Well, yeah, for sure. I'm just taking it fight by fight, and build a relationship with BOK Prime, and see where everything else take me.
So basically, you're only doing one fight with them, but they're doing all these things for you, but you don't want to sign with them. Man, you can't make this shit up.
When it's a network like this, right, that's just launching, it's pretty unknown in terms of being a streaming service, right? So just truthfully, it's probably going to be hard to get the awareness where you would maybe want it to be, to get the buys to be where you would want it to be. You kind of brace for that, for the views not to hit like crazy numbers, and then people to kind of use that against you and say, see, I told you you shouldn't have fought him, blah, 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 blah. Is that what you're expecting?
Yeah, of course. You got to always expect that, with something new coming up. But, this is just the start of something. So when it starts, it may not be all peaches and cream, from the jump, because a lot of people don't know about BOK Prime.
So why the fuck would you do a fight with them? If your issue with the negotiations with the PBC was a money thing, was you believe that you should have gotten more money, or you believe that you should have got a guarantee, or you believe that the split that you were getting, you felt like you would want more money, why would you go to a company that is new to the sport, does not have high visibility uh for the fans of boxing, that you yourself have just admitted that you're expecting them, or would not be surprised if they failed, because you're just going to get your money off the rip? Why would you do business with them, and then on the flip side say that you look forward to coming back and doing business with the PBC after, you know, after you slid out the back door, after you didn't have enough respect to let them know that you were going in another direction? You think that once you come back with worse fucked up numbers now, that they're going to do right and better by you? Or are you trying to sabotage the fight so you can go get a couple more paydays and state to the boxing public that you was undisputed and Errol Spence was never undisputed, and you're not going to give him a chance to fight you so you can have a one up on him? That's what it sounds like to me. Roll the clip.
A lot of people don't know, about the app, so, you got to get your feet wet. And then once you get your feet wet, then, everything start coming into place.
So a lot of people don't know about the app. Man, this sounds so familiar. Didn't this guy just state on his last fight back in November of 2021 with Showtime Sean Porter that people were coming to him and saying they couldn't find the ESPN Plus app, that nobody could find the app or couldn't order his fight? Didn't that man state that? So now you went from the hugest sports app platform, sports network on the planet in ESPN, right, to BLK Prime, who no one knows about, and you expect people to find the fight or purchase the fight, and then on top of it, they're charging literally about 50% of what a normal pay-per-view fight sells for. I mean, this is a recipe for disaster. Now, on top of that, you have stated that you're not doing anything long term with them. This is a starting out process, and they're basically using your face as like the crash dummy for boxing for them, even though on Groupon they're showing an MMA fighter. Roll the clip.
You know, the fights that they put on the type of fighters that they go out and search and get and put on. The fans want to see good fights. They want to see great fights. So
The fans want to see great fights. You're talking about BLK Prime, but you're fighting David Avanesian. But the fans want to see great fights. The fans want to see great fights, but you're fighting David Avanesian. This is
as
sad.
long as they putting out great fights with great fighters, then you know it's gonna do good numbers.
As long as they're putting on, look at Kate's face. She looks so fucking. I think Kate feels like Bud has just retarded her. Like Bud has made her brain atrophy. You can't make this shit up, man. This is a sad day. This is a sad time for the sport of boxing. You can't make this shit up. You can't. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link, man. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link for anyone who wants to join the panel. And go ahead and cook on this. I'll put one in the chat. There we go. And then I'll go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and pin one. I'm gonna go ahead and pin it in the chat too. But this is a sad day. This is a sad day for Terrence Crawford fans, man. It's a sad day. It's really sad. I'm so let down by what Terrence Crawford has done to us. How he's robbed us of this fight. Link is pinned in the chat in YouTube. But I'm so let down by uh what Terrence Crawford has what he's done. I'm let down. I mean, look, I wasn't the hugest fan. I respected his skill set. I wasn't the hugest fan about, how he moved in the sport, but what he's done now, I mean, I can't respect it. It's just it's incredibly hard to respect the things that Terrence Crawford has done. It's really sad. Really, really sad. You know, if we notice something, Errol Spence hasn't said a word besides defending the lies and the capping that Terrence Crawford did. He hasn't said a word. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd. I I, I'm lost for words, man. I mean, all of the stuff that this man stated, all of the stuff that this man stated, he's acting as if everyone's making shit up when it comes to him. This is the stuff he reported to ESPN. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford have agreed to all material terms for a fight for undisputed welterweight championship targeted for November 19th, Las Vegas. Sources tell ESPN. No signed deal yet as lawyers clean up legal language in the agreement. That sounds exactly like you got the revised offer. You guys were negotiating. You got your revised offer. You agreed to everything. You came out and said you agreed to everything. Yet you're fighting David Avocado. Yet you are fighting David Avocado. You can't make this shit up, man. You can't make this shit up. Then when you finally come out and say something, you don't even know the name of the company. BLT Prime baby. I, I like I said, you can't make it up, man. You can't make it up. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to. Here we go. Here's Terrence Crawford's promotion. Here is his promotion. Groupon. Terrence Crawford. This is Terrence Crawford. This is his promotion for his fight. He said, you know what? Fuck Earl. Fuck Al Heyman. I'm gonna go with BLK, and I'm gonna go sell my tickets on Groupon. This is what I'm going to do. Because I don't want to lose my belt to Earl Spence. I don't want to look like I'm no longer invincible to my city. I don't want to look like I'm no longer invincible to C class and B class fighters. I'm going to say fuck Al Heyman. Fuck the guy who's made the biggest fights in the sport. And I'm going to go with BLK Prime. And then after I go with BLK Prime, and it's such a because what they're going to do, they're not going to talk about the numbers, that they're not going to talk about his win because everyone expects him to win. They're going to talk about his numbers and what the fight generated, what kind of event it was, and they're going to trash him for it. And then he's going to want to come back to the PBC and ask for a $25 million guarantee up front because he wants to bankrupt everyone. He wants to bankrupt every company. Every single company that he deals with, he wants to make sure he bankrupts them on his way to retirement. You can't make it up, man. It's sad. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. I think I'm looking for something else. I know I posted something else. Let me see if I could find it here. Might be on the gram. Let me see. You know, this is terrible, man. You know what this guy has done in the sport of boxing. You know, he's he's single-handedly. Who's this? DJ. Who's DJ? You got to put your camera on so I can see who you are.
Hold on.
Oh, well, I
Let me
got
get
you.
some lights going.
Well,
Can
no
you
one.
see?
Yeah, well, I can see you, but no one can see. No one else can see you, but I can see you.
Okay.
You're
Can you
on.
see me?
I can see you, but you're not on the screen because my
Okay.
cover is. Go ahead, bro.
Am I able to put on my virtual cam and to just talk on your show?
I guess you can. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Welcome to the show, DJ. Where you what part of the world you coming from?
Believe it or not, London, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, awesome. I love Canadians. How you doing, brother?
Oh, pretty good. Yourself?
Good. I'm good. I can't complain.
Thanks for dropping me a mic. I just kind of wanted to cook with you a little bit on this issue that's got everybody up in arms.
Okay. Go ahead and cook.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention I hold Crawford accountable like everybody else does. He's been, making all the wrong moves as far as giving the fans the fights. He's said on multiple media outlets, both live and on social media, that he doesn't need Spence for his legacy fight. He's fine. He's already, a three division world champ, a unified 140-pound champ, and all the accolades he's already has. And he's right. He says he's accomplished, very few, if any, in boxing has, and you know, I in that regard. But at the same time, I just wanted to get your view on. I don't know if you saw the interview that Bob Arum did on, you know, Fight Hype, and when they asked Arum, "Hey Arum, you know, the Crawford Spence fight didn't get made. What do you think?" And he goes, "Well, I had my doubts because, to be honest, when you're into a big time business, dealing with like that, when you're into the business side of things, but I had my serious doubts if he can conduct himself with a lawyer or, you know, his representative only on his side, to broker a deal like that. It takes a lot of time, you know, experience, wherewithal, to put big business together, and all the factors. And I just think that he's doing nobody a service. Even Mikey Garcia grabbed Richard Schaefer when he brokered a deal with Spence once he was a free agent. And I just wanted to see what your thought is, if he could actually come to the table and pull it off himself. My guess is no.
No, no, he can't. He can't
No.
because his ego is in the way of making a fight. That's
Okay.
why he can't. His ego and his the lack of business acumen. You know,
Okay.
you can have good people around you that do what they do well, but if you're the one pulling the trigger and calling the shots, and you're the one setting the tone for the team, and your ego is in the way, nothing's going to happen. And
Right.
the problem with this guy is that there's this certain level of insecurity that he has about himself and Errol Spence, where he wants to always have a one up on Errol Spence. He always wants to be the A side in everything. And when I say the A side in
Mhm.
everything, I'm not talking about, just with the negotiations, but he wants to kind of call the shots with everything. And that's not going to work, because he doesn't he doesn't have the backing from the standpoint of being a draw. Because look, this fight that he's doing with Amnesia, the fight he did with Kell Brook in the bubble,
Mhm.
the fight he did with Mean Machine, that's JV. Pay per view is varsity. You can't come into pay per view with the same mindset you go into with fights in the bubble. Arrows,
Right.
at the end of the day, and I've said this to people before. When people go on Shark Tank and pitch a product, and
Yep.
they may have the best pitch in the world. Everything sounds great. The first question that the sharks ask are, "What are your sales?
Right.
What are your numbers? What are your sales?" Because you
Good
can
point.
have 50, you can have 50 belts. You can have 50 belts. You can have a product that's supposed to be in 50 million stores worldwide, and you've been promised that. They're before someone invests in you, they're going to say, "What are your sales? What are your numbers?" And if those numbers, everything sounds great, and someone says, "Year to date, we only sold 30,000," no one's gonna honor your $5 million valuation. And this is what
Right.
this guy is. This is what this guy is doing. He's talking about belts. He's talking about everything and what he's accomplished. But as we can see, he can't make a big fight without Errol Spence. He can't.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. Well, give it. That's fine, but like, I have to say that getting $10 million to fight someone like a David Avanesian, you know, if it's for real, if it really comes to light, that's an 8-figure payday, his end. I just can't help but think it's piggybacking off of what, you know, the bank robbery template Money Mayweather has been, you know, doing since forever now. You know, with all his exhibitions. I don't even know who DJ is or whatever, that YouTube guy that fought him. Just whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but if you're talking eight, there is an argument. If you're talking, people are paying 8 figures to this man to fight. I don't know, not even guys in the top, or I think he is ranked in the top 10.
It's
They
like
were
top. I
saying.
think it's like the top. Yeah, I think it's like 6 or something like that.
Oh, okay, so he is in the top 10, but there is an argument. Like he could do two fights of relative unknowns with a lot less risk and make the same money. I just think that he's got to pull in a promote. Like this is the biggest fight in boxing. Everybody is clamoring to see it. Nobody is writing Terrence or Earl off on either side. We feel that it's going to be another 80s classic. And I just think that, for a fight of this magnitude, they were giving Tyson, $30 million back in the early 90s when I was in high school, where the value for dollar was worth like way more. Minimum wage was, I don't know, $4 back then, $5. Everybody freaked out when it hit 5. But if the public can come up with that kind of money, even with the Fire Sticks and streaming and stuff, I don't think 25, 30, 45, 40 million a piece is unreasonable at all. I mean, the heck, they offered Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua came to Wilder and said, "You pay me $50 million guaranteed, I will sign the contract and fight you. You show me $50 million." And they did. He went to Al and said, "Make it happen." Al made it happen. Joshua ran. I mean, that's the fact.
Right.
So, I mean, if they're coming up with $50 million for the heavyweights, I just can't help but think that it would be worth Terrence Crawford's time, energy, and wherewithal to grab a promoter, even if it's Schaefer or Broker Bob in again, or someone that can do the business. I have my doubts that it's going to be a lawyer. And like you just alluded to, his ego might be holding things up. His job is to fight, man. He can't wear all the hats. I don't know.
Facts. Look, you're 100% right from that aspect in terms of. I got someone else trying to come in here. You got to turn. First of all, you got to turn your camera on.
Okay.
No, not you, DJ.
Oh,
someone else.
Okay. Yep.
All right, and then this guy calls himself the aerosexual killer. So you're definitely not gonna come up here with a stupid name like that. So see you later. So yeah, I mean, I have to have some level of class with the people that I bring on. So so you're 100% correct when you say that, right? Look, if he's getting $10 million or whatever, if it's 8-figure payday for him to fight David Avenesian, hey, that's a great business deal.
Yeah.
That's look, I can't knock that. Shit, I can't beat David Avenesian, but I'll go fight him for $10 million. You know, you know what I mean? He's a professional boxer, and
exactly.
and I would be okay with every meme of me getting stretched out in that ring going viral, as long as I get my check, right? So I
that's
can't knock
life-changing money.
Right. I can't knock that, man. As long as I can walk out of there with my health, and as soon as I take my first punch, I'm just gonna lay down. But
that's a great business model.
Yeah, whoever that is, turn your camera on so I can see who you are. If not, you're gonna get booted. Yeah, I know who this is. He wants to get on here so bad. He done changed his name. Here we go. So that's a great look, that's a come up. I'm not mad at Terrence Crawford. I said this. I'm on record saying this. Terrence Crawford, I think he got like 6 children. I'm pretty sure he takes care of his mom, his grandma, his siblings, his nephew. He probably takes care of a lot of people.
Sure.
Probably a lot of guys like that. It's probably a lot of pressure for them to continue to take care of people. And it's a blessing if you could do that. So I'm not mad at him for taking the payday. My issue is I have to hold him to his word. I have to hold Terrence Crawford to the stuff that he says, and the stuff that
Absolutely.
the stuff that Terrence Crawford says. Hold on one second. There we go. Get him out of here again. The stuff that Terrence Crawford says is he makes it seems like it's about the fight for him. That Errol Spence was scared of him for years. That he was being ducked. That he was going to go straight into the fight. That he doesn't need a tune-up.
He was
And
chasing Spence, according to Terrence.
Correct. He
Yeah,
doesn't need
yeah,
a tune. He don't need a tune-up.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
what I'm stating is, then you got to live by that. See, me personally, I don't think that Terrence Crawford is scared of Errol Spence. I believe that Terrence Crawford is scared of losing to Errol Spence. It's a big difference.
Oh, you and I are on the same page on that one for sure.
Yeah, it's not about, he looks at Errol Spence and he's shaking in his boots or he's scared. I think this is the one fight where no matter how much confidence he has, there's that dwindle of doubt that he could lose the fight. Where with every other fight, that dwindle of doubt didn't exist because he just knew he was better than these guys. But
Yeah,
there's
right.
that dwindle of doubt, and everything that he has said for the last 4 years, all of the disrespectful stuff he said about Earl, his family has said about Errol, is that now what's going to happen is if he loses, it's never going to be lived down.
Right.
It's
It's a good,
it,
yeah. If I may, the just you bringing that to my attention made me think of if you recall, Mayweather back in the day coming up, he was blasting through everybody as you know, but
Mhm.
Margarito was on this guy when he was a killer going, give me, he's like, yeah, there's video of it. You'll get your shot. You'll get your shot, man. Don't worry. You'll get your shot. But Margarito was the only guy in the bunch, cheater or not. I don't know with the Shane Mosley hand wrap situation,
Right.
terrible. But cheater or not, he was the only guy that would bring so much smoke that Mayweather knew, doesn't matter how slick I am, I've got to be on. This guy is going to be on me every second of that round. He's coming. And I mean, like quick, fast and hard. So I just wonder, because I'm just looking at the landscape, has Terrence Crawford dealt with that kind of pressure that Errol's going to be like a modern day Margarito, actually better because Errol, doesn't cheat. But similar fighting styles, kind of like Paul Williams. If you recall, Mayweather was accused back in the day of dodging Paul Williams and dodging Margarito. More
Mhm.
so Margarito because he came at him several times saying, "Hey, when are you going to give me a fight? Like, I'll sign whatever you want. I don't care. I want to fight you." And he just wouldn't. He wouldn't. So I don't know. I just don't see the in the landscape. There is Boots, but he doesn't bring the same pressure. He's more of a fancier kind of a fighter from what I've seen. I could be wrong. Then Errol's just like he is all over you, and I mean like just straight ahead, punching in bunches, does not stop. Kind of like a rock'em stock'em robot that doesn't tire.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is, uh, what is really overlooked with Errol Spence is his skill set and his IQ. Because his
And
stuff
his
looks
IQ,
so,
yeah.
yeah. So because his stuff looks so basic and so fundamental, people think he's just fights one way, which is totally inaccurate. It's just how he fights and the way he does things. But with Terrence Crawford, to me, I can't call someone the number one pound for pound fighter in the world if they need a tune up fight. I can't. Like when can you imagine if in basketball if Michael Jordan was in his prime and Kobe Bryant asked him to play one on one in public and Michael Jordan said, uh, well, let me knock some of the rust off and let me play Isaiah Thomas first, and then we'll schedule our game after that. No, when you're the number one guy in the sport, you have to be ready at all times to prove that you're the best and be the best. And my personal opinion is this: when they didn't like the fact that they weren't the A side and things weren't equal. They didn't like the fact that Al Heyman stated that he wasn't going to allow anyone else to touch the fight because with what he brought up with that $25 million apiece, that would have made things better for Terrence Crawford. It would have made him feel like it was level. Earl and I are, you know, getting the same purse, same guarantee, and I brought this to the table, so now I could feel like I'm the boss and making this fight happen. But
I
once,
mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe yeah, maybe. I just think that Bob Arum lost money on Terrence Crawford for years. He's been on multiple forums saying I lost a landslide of money on this guy, but he always had a guarantee, not as big as Pacquiao, not even close, but I
right,
think it was around 10 million is his guarantee. And so, that was what he was used to. He's like, especially with the fire sticks and the streams. And let's face it. I mean, a lot of people stream fights these days. I mean, that's just the new norm, just because of internet. But he was when he's getting down to business and he's talking to Al. And again, it's him and his lawyer or whatever. He apparently had 3 lawyers. He fired a couple, but no big time boxing broker. And then he's just like, well, there's just no guarantee. Yeah, there's the live gate, there's the back end, and I don't know. I want to do the fight. I want to feed my family, and I should make more than 10 million. I should, I should. But then what if I don't? And then, and so I think, they were saying, well, that's a cap because he was off talking to Black Prime, as early as June. Actually, I think he even stated started in June talking to Black Prime. Well, what are you doing, Mr. Crawford, talking to another network when you're trying to broker the biggest, deal in boxing?
right,
And I just think it's his background, his guarantee. He's just like,
yep.
even said to Earl, I don't know.
If they're gonna give us 25 million, we'll get a cut if they make their money back. But see, and that's the problem. It's this mentality because when you take something from someone and you haven't done anything for it yet, you're no longer in control. And
Right.
when he said that, that let me know when he was going to take that $25 million, he didn't care about if the company made their money back or if the company didn't make their money back. He didn't need all that transparency because he was going to get a $25 million guarantee, which is the biggest payday he's ever seen in his life. And that's the thing,
Right.
like you
Right.
alluded to, the guarantee part, because he's always had a guarantee.
Yeah.
He's comfortable with
Yep.
that. But now that he's his own boss, he's still thinking like an employee, where he wants someone to pay him instead of putting the event together himself and paying himself.
Yeah,
The
like Al
problem.
said, he said, why would you put a cap?
Why
Like
would you
you got the
cap?
back
Why
end and everything else. Yeah.
exactly? Why would you put a cap on yourself? But sometimes people can't understand
Yeah.
what they've never experienced. You know, sometimes people can only
Right.
go off of what they've done before in the past. You know what a millionaire does is going to feel different to a thousandaire. What a billionaire does is going to feel different to a millionaire. It's gonna seem weird, and why are you doing that? I'm in sales. I trust me, I know. So
Yeah. Right.
it's a thing where at this
Right.
point Terrence Crawford is a prisoner and a victim to his own mentality, and that's really what is hurting us and hurting the boxer fans. Hold on 1 second. I want to play a video.
I
I got what's that?
my phone's dying on me. I gotta cook with you later. Thanks so very much for having me on. I really
Y-
appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're welcome back anytime, DJ.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna let me see if I can go play this for you.
Didn't fight Boots or why you didn't fight Ortiz?
Well, let me.
Well, them names that never came up. I would have fought them names in a heartbeat.
Let's start
I'm the
this over.
best
I'm
fighter
sorry,
in the world.
guys. The late great Kevin Samuels is giving Bud some advice. Bud has done such a poor job that Kevin Samuels was rolling in the grave, and he decided he was going to come by and give this brother some help. Let me see if I can expand this. There we go. Roll the clip.
Oh well. You didn't fight Boots or why you didn't fight Ortiz? Well, them names that never came up. I would have fought them names in a heartbeat. I'm the best fighter in the world. Who you think I am? Who you think I am?
You're 35 years old, and you can look around and see the world. What makes you so special that you get it all?
I'm really my own boss now.
Here's the reality. Reality is what you have to negotiate with right now has a time limit. It will spoil. It will get old. And what you have today, it won't be worth the same thing 5 years from now, because it ain't worth the same thing as it was 5 years ago. You got to tone this down and really come down. You're going to have to really ask, what do these men want that I want? And then what matters more? Do you need this, that, that?
I'm really my own boss.
You don't have any kind of structured thinking. You don't have any kind of systematic thinking. You worry about you. But when you become a boss and a leader, your goal is not what you want. You got to get your people what they want so they'll help you get what you want. But your generation, everybody wants to jump from being a damn student to being a leader with not doing anything in between.
And I got a fire stick too.
Get off my phone.
Just a little comedy for you guys, man. Terrence Crawford, man, you out here. I'm not buying your fight, and it's not because I'm hating on you. I'm not buying your fight because it's not something that I want to see. It's not.
So special
It's,
you get it
it's
off.
not something that
I'm really my own boss now.
There we go. It's not anything that I want to see. It's not anything that has earned my $40. You know, I could find some better things to do with $40. Shit, and with inflation, interest rates, grocery shit, I could really find something better to do with my $40 and watch you beat up on a guy that Lamont Peterson walked down in 2017. I could definitely. Yeah, shit. He told him, "Get off my damn phone." What's up, Nando?
What's good, bro?
Salute to you, bro. What's
So,
popping, family?
hey, bro.
What's good? We can't hear you. I don't know if your mic went out or what. If you're on mute,
B.
I think I can hear you now. What's going on?
Okay. I said, first of all, who tried to get on the chat calling themselves the aerosexual killer?
Oh, that I don't know if you saw there was I got on my boy Goon's page and there was some dude named Thor and he's really over the top.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was him.
yeah. We gotta start. Just gotta start letting giving these dudes a time limit, man. Giving them 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and if they ain't saying much or nothing, and they keep moving the goalposts, they gotta go. Yeah, but man, I just been sitting back, just looking at all this stuff, looking at the just. I've come to the conclusion that I don't think Terrence Crawford has ever experienced being labeled as a duck like this. He's always been under the protection of Top Rank, ESPN. You know what I mean? And now that he doesn't have those major entities behind him, that maybe they was telling him to shut the hell up, but now there's nobody to tell him to keep quiet. And the man is just digging and digging and digging a deeper grave.
Mm. Yep. Yeah, yep. I think that's why he's doing all of these. He's doing a press conference of excuse interviews for why the fight didn't happen. You know, he's never felt this kind of pressure before where uh, the people who were in the middle that were possibly choosing him to beat Errol Spence are the people who are giving him the most grief because he robbed the boxing public of the biggest fight in the sport, and uh, he wanted to portray as in if Errol Spence was the problem, that
Yeah.
they were just trying to do something so grimy to him and not give him a guarantee without telling the whole truth that Errol Spence was actually not getting a guarantee as well, you know, and he couldn't handle it, and they walked away, and they knew how real it was too. See, it's real different when you on Twitter screaming you scared of me and you gonna duck me and all this other stuff, and now you're finding out that none of that's true because they sitting at the table trying to get the fight done. And now you've just watched what he just did to Ugas, a guy who beat you in the amateurs, a guy that your trainer and manager said was a silent killer in the division. And now you see what Earl did to him, and now you getting ready to go in there and step in the fire in front of the
And
world.
and it's levels to competition, and it's levels of, and the competition is what keeps you sharp. If you fought Kell Brook, fought a Sean Porter who wasn't focused. There was rumors that Tank Davis was giving him that work and sparring, all kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you didn't get that. You didn't get that Sean Porter. See, Sean Porter went in there with conviction. I mean, Sean Porter already had a deep resentment towards Errol Spence. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it was personal. So he went in there with a purpose. He trained hard trying to knock this dude off. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? At
Hmm.
that time, and then he fell short from the Thurman fight. Fell short with Kell Brook, and this was just like this going away fight, and I could tell just from his posture, just the way he looked, and during the weigh-in that this wasn't the Sean Porter that fought Errol Spence. I was there for that fight.
Oh,
And
you was at the fight?
I was there for Spence and Sean Porter.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was in Cali.
Yeah,
That's right. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So and I was there for Ugas, and to be honest with you, you like he was like what you were saying earlier, that Errol Spence that wasn't taking his craft seriously. I could hear. I was like, I forgot how close I was. I was damn near ringside, and I could hear the thud when I could hear the sound of Errol Spence hitting Ugas that night. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. So you can't. I mean, you really can't prepare for something like that, and you can't prepare with it fighting low level competition. Like this, like we could carve Bud's resume up like Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah.
Like it's just garbage. I mean, we could start with Jeff Horn. We could start with Indago. I mean, Indago, where is he now? You know what I mean? You really, if you look at it, even if the level of competition, where are they now?
Right.
Indago is getting beat up in Eddie Hearn's backyard on undercards, right? Getting knocked out on the
Right.
zone undercards. El Campo just went 12 rounds with Fundora,
Mm. Moving up in weight too.
moving up in weight, fighting a weight bully Fundora, and went the full 12 rounds and made a good showing of himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Guy only lasted one round with EJ.
And then we want to bring up, oh, will Kill Brook, will Bud stop Kill Brook faster than Errol Spence did? Well, didn't Tim Zeus stop Jeff Horn faster than Bud did?
Right. Right. Facts. Facts. And these are the narratives like guys like to go with. But at the end of the day, this guy robbed us of the biggest fight in
Hmm.
boxing, man. And I like 817 said, I'd rather buy $40 worth of toilet paper. It's shit. They run out of toilet paper when COVID came. So shit, that's more valuable than watching him beat up on somebody Lamont Peterson walked down 5 years ago.
And who
Literally.
who beat and Mean Machine, like you, this is just you fighting your leftovers for a second time.
Yeah.
And
Hey
only
man,
only huh?
that's the Bud way. That's the Bud way, brother.
But it goes deeper than that. Really, these fans really need to sit back and watch. And it's not. I mean, some of them are just village idiots. I'm not going to even sit here and lie. but it's just the brainwashing of media. They sit there and just regurgitate everything that Mike Cappinger and all these people tell them. They look at these lists. If you go look at the pound for pound list, and you go look at the who wrote this stuff, it's people that ain't even stepped not one toe in the ring. How the fuck you gonna tell me who's the best fighter in the world and you ain't never fought?
Right.
How could I trust you? How can I trust you if you understood what Bob Arum has done for years? This is how Bob Arum has promoted his fights, with the exception, I think after Oscar De La Hoya, right? Don King will have a fighter, right? And Don King will, Don King being who he is, but these fighters will fight the big fights and fight the main people. He has somebody that's okay, but what he's going to do is he's going to have the sports fighters attach their name to that other fighter.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? So that's been the top ranked way for years. That's been the top ranked way for years. And and another thing that I bring up, another thing I bring up about B sides, like in Terrence Crawford, like look at, first of all, let me touch this on this subject. Think about all the fighters that left top rank and went to greener pastures. We'll start with Oscar De La Hoya, right? Oscar De La Hoya left top rank and started Golden Boy. Floyd Mayweather left. Miguel Cotto left. Mikey Garcia left. And they all got big fights down the lane, right? Down the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a blueprint. There's a blueprint. That's just like you in sales, right? And it's a young and you leave. Say you leave, like 3-4 people leave before you, older people, people that's in your job that been there longer than you, and they start their own companies, and they flourish, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
leave, but you don't even follow. Like instead of following the blueprint, you want to go against the grain. Like how could you not trust? Okay, how could you not trust Al Heyman when everything Floyd Mayweather got is from Al Heyman?
Facts.
And then all
Facts.
this BL and all this BLK, and all these people with this narrative of why y'all don't want to support a black man? This is a black man. These is black people doing it. Ain't Al Heyman black?
Facts.
Do you even know who Al Heyman is a protege? Who's a protege of? He's a protege of Clarence Avant. Go Google Clarence Avant, then come back to me and tell me about hating on a black man.
Right.
Go watch the documentary, The Black Godfather, then
Yep.
come talk to me.
Facts. Facts. But
But you said,
you know, they're more about narratives than
mm-hmm.
actually getting in the ring with someone who's going to be a threat. This man talked about everybody leading up to Earl Spence except Earl Spence. He talked about fighting Charlo. you know, and it's sad, but you know, a lot of the stuff this guy just did, he was this dude was sitting around dropping dimes on people. This dude was straight up being Rico from
From
Belly,
Payton Full, yeah, from Payton Full,
Rico
yeah.
from Belly dropping dimes. He talked about Al Heyman's mama, talking about fire sticks, talking about things that's going on in the negotiations. People know that there is no body who comes out and starts openly talking about details of negotiations in boxing. That's something
I've
that's
never
kept
heard,
behind
not
closed
once.
doors. So that leads me to believe that he is trying to sabotage the fight. He's trying to sabotage it.
It's gonna have an undisputed fight can happen with or without him. Because after this, let's see, because Sean Porter was a mandatory, and usually most sanctioned bodies are the same. Is that after you fight a mandatory, you can fight whoever you want. That's like the top 5 or the top 10 on the list, right? Which I
Hmm.
don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with. If you just like a champion, that's not. There's no way that you can you can unify. So I'm gonna just take I'm gonna take an easier fight, and then I'm gonna wait for this other big fight. I don't have a problem with that. If you pick like one of the top 3, but you pick one of the worst people. You know what I mean? And another thing, if you wanted Jermell Charlo, Why you could have went after Patrick Texera, right? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You could have went after Patrick Texera. You was talking about going to 154 and fighting for the WBO 154 belt. But what happened? You know who spoiled his plans? Brian Castano.
Mm-hmm.
When Brian Castano won that belt, we didn't hear no more about him challenging that belt for that belt, did we?
Nope.
And the two
Nope.
Charlo fights to tell you why.
Yeah, because he'd have been on his motherfucking ass.
He would have stopped. I'm sorry, probably would have stopped him.
It's, I mean,
He don't have the
it's,
size or the firepower to keep that man off.
yep.
They make weight classes for a reason.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot of things that this guy does. I don't understand why he does well, I don't understand. I know why he does what he does. I just don't understand why he does what he does. You know, and if I was if I was Earl Spence, you know what I would do? I'd go fight Keith Thurman next,
Mm-hmm.
and then I move up to 154, and I would force Terrence Crawford's hand. He would either have to move up to fight me,
Mm-hmm.
or he's gonna wind up having to fight Jerron Boots Ennis. He's gonna
Who's
have to
who's
fight
going who's number one on in the rankings in the
Virgil Ortiz, but Oscar De La Hoya is not gonna allow Virgil Ortiz to fight Terrence Crawford. He's saving Virgil Ortiz to fight Jerron Boots Ennis or people in his generation. He's not gonna sell.
mm-hmm.
That's who he has. Oscar De La Hoya will pull him out of the WBO rankings before he throw him in there with Terrence Crawford, because
Mm-hmm.
Terrence Crawford doesn't yield a big enough paycheck or big enough payday uh, for Virgil Ortiz to take a hit as a fighter for Oscar
I
De La
agree.
Hoya's stable. Oscar's not
Yeah.
going to sacrifice him to Terrence Crawford. He'd sacrifice him to Errol Spence because that's a big money fight in the state of
It,
Texas, and
yeah.
they'd make a shit ton of money. He'd sacrifice him for that, but he's not sacrificing him for Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford is going to be an ass whooping with there's no big reward at
Yeah.
the
The
end of
champ.
it. But
Yeah.
so I could see with all the if Errol Spence moves up and vacates his three belts, I could see them putting Virgil Ortiz in a title eliminator for one of those vacant titles, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening. And then there would be no one left at 47 for him to fight except Jerron Boots Ennis. So either he's going to have to fight Boots, which he won't, because the fear of losing to Boots is there for him as well, where he would be forced to fight Errol Spence at 154 for the payday, which would give Errol Spence even more of an advantage to beat him, moving up and weight to 154. And that's exactly what I would do to Terrence Crawford. Because,
At this point, yeah.
yeah, because he's the one who walked away from negotiations at 147. Just like he said, he went and did what he did for his family, and he can't sit on his hands. Well, you know what? If I was Earl Spence, I wouldn't sit on my hands either. I wouldn't sit on my hands either waiting for Terrence Crawford. If he want to fight me, he gonna have to come to 154 and fight me, or he can stay there at 147 and fight one of them killers down there at 147.
Exactly. I mean, and Jamel Charlo being, after after the Tim Zoo fight, I don't really make bold predictions like that, but I kind of got a feeling what's going to happen is
Mm-hmm.
that him being undisputed, he can go after his brother if he wanted to. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So he and so he leaves and goes to 160, being that Errol Spence is unified at 147. He got three belts. He could go fight for one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know what, I was thinking about. I was thinking about the other day. I'm stuck to jump situations, but I was thinking about Jamal Charlo. You know what's the mistake Jamal Charlo did is that he went the WBC route. Why would you go to WBC route when you was the IBF 154-pound champion, a stricter sanctioning body? I would have went after Canelo for that belt. They would have never given him a franchise belt. They would have just stripped him, like they stripped him when he didn't fight Derevyanchenko.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to Jamal Charlo, there's a lot of shit I don't understand about him.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
it's tough. It it's tough to, I don't want to say be a fan. It's just tough to understand what he's doing with what he's done in all this time with his career.
hmm. I
It's
mean,
just tough to see it.
you know what though? He got a bad. When you think about it, he got a bad deal. Okay, so he moves up to one. He moves up from 154 after knocking out J Rock, right? Knocking out his knocking out his mandatory and moving up, right? He goes the WBC route. He fights I forgot that one guy he fights, and then he fights God, oh God, what's the Mexican fighter's name?
I know you're talking
Uh,
about the one he knocked out with the left hook that grazed his head.
yeah, yeah.
I know you're
So
talking about.
he was on. I don't know why the name is ain't coming up, but he was Triple G was supposed to fight him.
Right.
He was Triple G's mandatory. So Triple G didn't want to fight him, and so they went. So he went to go fight. He fought the Triple G fight. So that was a title eliminator between him and Charlo. So Charlo knocks him out and becomes Triple G's mandatory. So he takes step aside money for Canelo and Triple G to fight. It goes to a draw. Canelo wins. He becomes Canelo's mandatory. See what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
the same way, but they never ordered it. They never ordered it. See, they never ordered that because they didn't want to risk Canelo to Jamal Charlo. See, it's easier for them for Caleb, like the situation with Caleb Plant and Benavidez, because the WBC is a win-win situation. If Canelo wins, we still have Canelo. If Benavidez wins, then we have David Benavidez, a young fighter that we can back. So it's kind of you know what I'm saying. So
Right.
so that's what it was. So they ordered that same in the same way that same conference where they ordered Caleb Plant and Jamal Charlo to fight to be Canelo's mandatory. They also ordered a few years back. They ordered Triple G and Jamal Charlo. They ordered the same fight, but he turned it down.
Well, he was.
Yeah,
I can't give Jamal Charlo a pass if I don't give Terrence Crawford a pass for making his decisions that he made with Bob Arum and not getting the fights. If Jamal Charlo wanted the big fights, he
hmm
had to do what Daniel Jacobs did, and he would have had to go over to the zone. He could have kept Heyman as an advisor, and he would have had to go
yeah.
over to the zone. And I mean, that's what boxing has turned into, their sides of the streets. Unfortunately, he was on the wrong side of the street when it came to
Yeah.
sides of the street for middleweight. But I have to hold him accountable for the decisions he made. You
I mean,
know,
but you got to understand that it was two weight classes that Canelo has ducked him from 54 to 260.
yeah. But Canelo
Yeah.
again was with the
But
zone.
no, Canelo's when he was at 154, he wasn't with the zone. He was still at
No,
Showtime.
right. Well, yeah. Well, he was with. Well, he was at 154. Yeah, he was with Oscar and whatever
Yeah.
Oscar was choosing to do.
And they were still
But
fighting
he
on
was with the
Showtime.
zone. I'm just saying, for the vast majority of the time
He was
that
with the zone.
he
Yeah.
was with the zone, and if Charlo was moving to 160, then he had to go over to the zone to make it happen. So, I'll just state that, like I said, if I don't give Bud a pass for his decision he made with
hmm
Aram, I can't give Jamal Charlo a pass either. Jamel was very lucky because Al has all the fighters at 54.
Exactly. So exactly, like if all those 160 fights was that those 160-pound fighters was on PBC, we probably see him be either be unified or you know what I'm saying or undisputed or he lost. You know what I mean?
Fact, facts. And then it also hurt his stock that he brought up Benavidez' name and said he would fight David Benavidez.
Well, let me tell you where this is what happened. Okay, so after the Errol Spence fight, David Benavidez and Anthony Durrell had fought on he had beat Anthony
I
Durrell
saw it.
for that belt. And
Hmm.
so on a live stream, I think they was live or something like that, and Jamal Charlo was saying, he was talking to Anthony Durrell. He said, "Hey, I might have to avenge that for you." Right? So this is when
Hmm.
David Benavidez had the belt, when he was still the 160-pound champion. So he ignored it, right? He ignored it. He brushed it off because and he looking to at that time he wanted to unify with Caleb Plant. So after he loses his belt on the scale. and Canelo doesn't want to fight him, he doesn't have, so he revisits Jamal Charlo. See what I'm saying? So that fight was there. He could have pressed Jamal Charlo when Jamal Charlo said it years after the Anthony Durrell fight, he could have been pressing them then. But at that time, Jamal Charlo didn't have nothing to offer. But once he lost his belt, Jamal Charlo had a name to offer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we can say, so it's the same thing. Like, motherfucker, I was trying to fight you earlier, but you didn't. You looked at me like I didn't have nothing to offer. But now, nigga, you ain't got nothing to offer. So I'm
Well,
gonna do the same thing to you.
I'm gonna just look at Jamal Charlo and say he's not really worth having much of a conversation about because
Yeah,
he ain't doing
he ain't
shit.
even.
He ain't
Yeah, unfortunately.
he ain't doing shit. So um, like I said before, uh, if I can't blame Terrence Crawford for what he did with Bob and then say that Jamal Charlo is in the right, or whatever happened.
Yeah,
In your career, you have to take control of your career and you have to make the best business decisions for yourself because time waits for no one. And
yeah.
he went all these years without fighting anyone. The best fight he fought was J Rock. You know what I'm saying? So uh, we just have to kind of move on from him. But uh, what are your thoughts on Errol Spence's next move? What do you think his next moves should be, or is going to be? And yeah, what do you think?
I think if he don't fight, I mean, I don't. I know you a Boots fan, but I don't want to see. Errol Spence is a dangerous fight, right? And I haven't seen Boots get clipped. I haven't seen him get hurt. I haven't seen him recover from a shot like this, right? And I don't want to see a young fighter with that much potential get into a fight that early. And Errol Spence is not somebody who you want to get wobbled and hurt with. I mean, he's gonna try to finish you. He's a body punisher.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I've seen a fighter from Philly. It happened to him. I've seen
Hmm.
it happen to David Reed, right?
Hmm.
You don't get clipped and hurt fighting Felix Trinidad. And then another one, Fernando Vargas. You don't get wobbled and hurt fighting Felix Trinidad, a seek and destroy fighter. So I'm gonna say right now, that's not a good fight for Boots. Take some other, you know, it's a learning curve. And like I said, you don't want to see him get hurt. So I kind of don't, just for Boots' sake, I don't want to see that. But Thurman is the most logical thing because Thurman's gonna sell the fight.
Yeah, I think Thurman is the most logical thing. I think Spence should just fight Thurman. It'd be a big fight. It would do decent numbers,
Mhm.
and it's gonna make uh Terrence Crawford's fight look even worse. And when it's time for these guys to negotiate, well, again, it's going to put him in a worse situation, which scares me that we are probably never going to get the fight. I never believed that before, but I'm starting to believe it more and more.
I don't think he
Especially,
ever wanted this fight.
yeah. Well, like I said, I thought he did, and I had blind faith and hope. But just seeing everything he said about the negotiations and what was going on behind closed door with PBC, and we know that those guys are very discreet with
Yeah.
business dealings and what they do, and bringing up stuff about Al's mom being sick to the public. I mean, that's probably not something he probably wanted the
Yeah, that's
entire
his
public
private
to
life.
know.
Yeah.
Um, I just don't know if they'll make the fight with him, and they're definitely not going to take him serious, especially when Sean Porter is stating that he knows that they're not never going to take him serious as a businessman. Um, so, it is what it is. But go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. You can go give your final thoughts. Go ahead. Go ahead and give your final thoughts, Nando, and then I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down for the night.
Unfortunately, Terrence Crawford never really truly rode the wave of the HBO hype that he had. They
Hmm.
gave him they gave him all them fights. They showcased him in Nebraska, right? And from then, when he moved on, it was a time for him to market himself. If you ever go look at speaking to Keith Thurman, go look at how Keith Thurman was selling himself when he fought on HBO, right? They were actually before I guess it split before Al Heyman took all his fighters off HBO. Keith Thurman was gonna be the new dude
Hmm.
that they was behind.
Right.
Like yeah, because of course he fit the mold. He was knocking people out. He had a mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, your boy Bud doesn't do that, or he feel like at this point, it ain't that he can't, it ain't that he won't. It's that and now I look at it as you can't. You got the IQ looking like it's -26. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
So with
one
that
thing we
being
can't
said,
say about him is he know how to go grab the easy money.
yeah, I mean, and
Can't be
that's I
that
mean,
slow.
I can't, I mean, I don't, I mean, they could say it all day long, but at the end of the day, is he gonna do like Jamel Charlo when Jamel Charlo won undisputed and he was on that plane and he showed him the $10 million check? I don't. Is he gonna do that? I don't think so because I really think it's an imaginary market.
Yeah, I don't know. I think so too, but we gonna just
We'll
have
never
to
know.
wait. We'll have to wait and see what comes out. Everything that goes into the wash comes out in the rent, so we'll figure that out.
Exactly.
So, chat, definitely appreciate you guys rocking out. All the people who took their time out to come in here and listen to me cook. Definitely appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who was on the panel. Stay
And
loyal to
yeah.
stay loyal to the game, and we out of here.